Yeah, I think, like everyone else has said, that the FM industry is going to grow and grow and grow. I think people in the region especially are beginning to realise the importance of the FM industry. I think Dubai is maturing now. A lot of these buildings are 12, 13, 14 years old. And in the past, where the strategy was, let's do minimal FM at minimal cost, things now catching up. When we look at the systems, the amount of retrospective fit-outs that are happening, new systems having to be replaced, etc. Technology's got a big part in it. Technology in the past year or two has become massively in your face. COVID itself has made sure that end users and people who are in their own villa are much more aware of facilities management. They're much more aware of their own environment and how to keep it safe. Now, to interact with that person in the villa, technology has to be in place. Now, these apps that we're putting in place, Albonians is doing a few apps now. We're starting our own business called Sienna, which we will bring forward apps which will be hungry for information. And the tenants or the owners or the landlords will be able to put this information in and put any sort of request in. The app will analyse and interrogate, and it will ask, what do we need to do? Here's some recommendations. This will get fed back to the FM companies. So it'll be much more proactive. There'll be less asking people what to do. It'll become aware, and we will then go forward to the tenants and the owners, property owners, and say, we need to start looking at this. Now, the FM industry, as I just said, is growing massively within the region. Dubai, especially, which I've noticed in the past couple of years, the tenders are being evaluated correctly now. Pricing, yes, is important, must be competitive. However, it's not the be all and end all. And we're finding that property owners are now asking for detailed presentations to discuss the pricing, how's it going to work, what do we see as a return on investment, and hopefully that will become more and more often. Yeah, I think all contracts will go output-based. Input-based was 10 years ago, in my opinion, 10, even 15 years ago. Input, output, you got the choice. The FM companies are the experts. They will decide what's required, manpower-wise, technology-wise, CAFM-wise, everything, service providers, plan preventive maintenance. Let the experts decide who should be at site, how the service is delivered. We still do get tenders where they'll say minimum manpower required is 10 or 15, which is not annoying. If they want 10 or 15, that's fine. It keeps apples for apples because everyone will then price 10 or 15. But what you're doing is curtailing the experts. The experts will always come back and say, you don't need 15, we could easily do this with 8 or 10. So yeah, output based, in my opinion, is definitely the way forward and should continue to be so. Okay, one of the big differences is I as a CEO are much more interactive with clients in any size of contract, be it small or large. This, in my opinion, mediates and fosters better relationships. When a CEO turns up to a meeting, I think people go, the CEO's here, so things are going to happen, and things do happen. You don't get that with the larger FM companies, which is understandable. They have many contracts, they have many staff. They have a much larger back office and support, and they probably have a lot more responsibilities via marketing and branding, whatever else, than I possibly do, with Albonian being the size of company we are. However, that does give me time to go out and be positive with the clients, and I do attend a lot of meetings. I also attend a lot of sites. I turn up at sites on a daily basis, say hello to the guys, whereas these guys just wouldn't be able to do that. Now, the niche that we have, in my opinion, is we are able to provide that top to bottom service where the personal touch comes in, because I personally go through the tenders, the costs, the proposals, the technical proposals, how we mobilise, and we do it as a team. When I've worked in larger companies, it didn't work that way. You'd separate teams would do this, teams would do that, and the CEO would sit in at the end, you'd get a quick brief, and then you would sign off the cost if he was happy with the risk. With Albonian, that doesn't happen. I'm involved from day one until the day we mobilise, and then probably 30 to 60 days after mobilisation into the execution. So that's what we look for in Albonian. The way we empower our teams, obviously you got all the MB talk through the recognition and empowerment and all this kind of thing. It is talk. So what we do is, as I just said, when I visit sites, we always encourage site meetings and we always encourage people to speak up. A lot of the times it won't happen, however, you need to get the confidence going. A lot of people aren't used to speaking up, be it through culture or just be it through being shy, or maybe not knowing what they're talking about, or they don't think they know what they're talking about. We encourage people to speak out. We also encourage our managers to take back feedback from the teams at all times. The feedback must come back good or bad, and they must accept it, being the manager, and that feedback must come back to me at the top. We have anonymous drop-in boxes where technicians, cleaners, concierges are allowed to put notes and put them in anonymous boxes, which are then directly given to the HR manager, who then comes directly to me. So there's no way that these messages can be tampered with in any way. Some of them are absolutely outstanding, and I won't say what some of them say at the moment. But that definitely works, because I then get to see what's happening at site level, and we encourage this at all times. We then encourage that some of the feedback is brought in, and we then implement what is actually happening, because I'm also a big believer that those on site know what's happening better than anyone in the office. So when we do empower and we give responsibility, we then encourage the training. We try and make training interesting. A lot of training is bog standard, very boring, process driven. Try and make it interesting, we try and make it a challenge to the guys. We always promote from within. We promote from the bottom upwards, and we then recruit from the bottom. So we try and always promote within the company. It doesn't always happen, however, we do try. So we promote and recognise at all times. We then award increments through promotion and recognition, be it sustained over a 3-month period, which is good. And it's again, it goes back to me being the CEO of a mid-size FM company, because I think I personally know probably the majority of my team, the entire delivery team. When a name is said to me, I can more often than not picture the guy or the girl's head inside my own head. And that's how we do it. One of the biggest challenges at the moment is recruitment. We were just talking about your own country, India, has basically closed down. The vast majority of our teams come from India, the vast majority of the guys. There's a whole month, maybe even more, that's going to happen. We won't be able to bring new technicians back from India. Now what happens is this creates this vacuum within the region where the FM companies are basically taking from each other. So we're offering technicians, I'll get technicians to come in and daily resign because he's been offered another 200 dirhams from another FM company. And it's just continual, it goes on, and it's not helping anyone. I think we all need to sit down as FM companies and start speaking to each other a bit more. Because of last year's situation, because the desperate situation we were in, a lot of companies had to win contracts. And I think there was a definitely win at any cost thing going on. Some of the prices that were being put in when we back engineered them, we just couldn't work them out. The larger companies can afford to do this, fair enough, that is business, they're looking forward to the future. And that's the way we're doing it. At Bonnie, we have to go in and price what fits the business. We can't possibly undercut or take contracts on at a loss for any length of period because we're not that size of company. But it has been happening. So that's one of the kind of major challenges I would put down to is recruitment. One of the other challenges is client expectations. As I said, clients have become much more aware now, especially in the environment. They now know exactly what FM is. They now know it's not just the guy in the background or the technician in the plant room. They want to see a lot more improvements, especially in air quality and general aesthetics. They're beginning to know the contracts a little better as well. They say, no, this is in your contract, you should have got it done. Whereas in before, it was known, but not always put forward as such. So the biggest challenges I would say is recruitment. The FM companies need to sit together and speak to each other because they're eating each other alive at the moment, and I can see it. I see it, I've been here for a long time. Eating each other, they need to stop. They really do need to stop, and they need to sit down and come to an agreement. And the biggest thing, again, was cash flow. Clients, developers were unwilling to release their cash. It created major strains on the deliveries. However, we've got through it. There was a 2 or 3 month big struggle with the suppliers who were wanting, they started wanting immediate payment, they wanted upfront payments. We were trying to tell them how can we possibly pay you up front when we're not being paid ourselves. But we've all came to an agreement now, I think, and it's now beginning to move forward. We're beginning to see that ease and everyone's accepting the situation that we're in.